All right. What is up, everybody? We are live. Hope everybody's doing good this Tuesday. A few things to go over before we get into the questions and comments section or whatever. Sammy Smith fined 50 points, 25K. Rick Ware Racing and Legacy are having a dispute over a charter agreement that apparently Legacy Motorsports has purchased. We're going to get into that. Prime going to sponsor Kyle Larson in his attempt to do the double there with Indianapolis and the Coke 600. And the All Star race is going to be a 4-day event. We've also got the latest ratings from Martinsville. And I want to start off with that one because it is going to tie into a little bit another story we're going to get into. Fox Sports PR tweeted out that at 2,004 million viewers regularly, which peaked at 2.8 million viewers, and it was up 11% from last year's Martinsville race. But this Sunday was the highest viewed television show on TV this Sunday, the Martinsville race. So the most watched thing over the weekend as far as TV viewership goes. So that's good. And so it's up 1% from the overall average of all races last year. Martinsville usually doesn't get as good an average or as good a viewership as other races, but it is above average compared to last year's ratings for FS1. So that is a positive note there for Martinsville, and positive overall that it is up racing so far on Fox this season, and FS1 has been up as well. So viewership wise, a massive positive. But however, this is going to, and here's where I'm going to tie it into the other story. Sammy Smith fined $25,000 and docked 50 points for that last lap crash. You could say it's for the last lap. You could also say he got fined and all that. For the Taylor Gray incidents, Taylor Gray and Jeb Burton were also fined $5,000 apiece. Didn't lose any points in their particular deal because they went into the infield care center to basically confront drivers when they were getting essentially medical treatment. So they get $5,000 lighter in the pocketbook for that. However, I don't think Sammy Smith gets the 50 driver point fine. He might get the 25K for rough driving, but I don't think he gets the points taken away. If everybody and their brother didn't cry on the internet, cry on Twitter, cry on their podcast, I think every single driver that has a podcast cried about it. And I'm not necessarily against their overall points. What was done in that race, it was a rough race. It wasn't particularly the type of racing that you want to see. However, I will say this. How was that race any different from any other Martinsville Xfinity Series or Truck Series race, including the Truck Series race that happened right before that one? How was that race any different than anything we've seen in the last decade from the Xfinity Series and from the trucks at Martinsville Speedway? It's not. Like, go back to Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs had a run in with his teammate Brandon Jones. We've had rough driving there. Austin Hill, Sheldon Creed, obviously very, very famous flare up there. That's the reason Sheldon Creed left and went to Joe Gibbs Racing last year. And then, of course, this year he's with Haas. So it's always been a rough racetrack. There's always been kamikaze moves, dive bombs, rough driving, dirty driving, aggressive driving, whatever you want to call it. We've always seen that there. I don't understand why this particular race brought out so much, I don't know, negative opinion about it. Was it because it was so widely viewed relative to other Martinsville races? Have this many people not watched the Martinsville race, and then all of a sudden now we're watching Martinsville races and they're just now catching on to this is how the drivers have been racing at Martinsville for probably the last decade here? I just don't know. I didn't understand where all of a sudden we've got this big outrage, because to me, I've never seen so much made over absolutely so little. We have seen this not only at Martinsville, but we have seen this across the board in the Xfinity Series for a number of years now. I want to say at least a decade. We've seen this is just the way you race in the Xfinity and Truck Series now. And I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying I disagree with them. I'm just saying, why all of a sudden is this the straw that broke the camel's back, maybe type situation? But I didn't understand why this particular race was just so much different from the other races that have gone on in the past, not only at Martinsville, but at other racetracks, because we've seen this type of racing for a long time. Now, NASCAR, if you're NASCAR, do you step in and fix this? I don't know that you necessarily want NASCAR making those type of calls going forward, because NASCAR in general is inconsistent. We've seen drivers do the exact same thing that Sammy Smith has done and not get even fined for it. Sammy Smith gets fined and loses points. We've seen drivers do what Sammy Smith did and only get fined money, a la Ty Gibbs with the Sam Mayer deal. So you don't, in my opinion, want NASCAR making this call. What more likely needs to happen is the drivers just need to start policing it themselves, to be totally honest. And I don't like that option either, but that is going to be the best option going forward, unless NASCAR can actually just put a black and white rule in the book like they did for the Austin Dillon right hook or whatever. It was kind of the same argument I made for that in the Cup Series. You need a black and white rule if you're going to enforce it, because NASCAR making judgment calls is just going to make this even more murky, and it's going to get even worse because they're not going to be consistent on it. In fact, I'm of the opinion, and this is the poll question: did NASCAR punish Sammy Smith because so many people cried about it online and on their podcast? My vote for that 100% is yes, and I know that's probably going to skew the poll, but I don't think NASCAR fines him points or money if everybody didn't have a major, massive meltdown. And I can't exclude Dale Jr. from this, because Dale Jr. moves the needle of the sport more than anybody else. So if Dale Jr. doesn't tweet out what he tweets out, if Dale Jr. doesn't get involved in this and have to say what he has to say about it, I don't think this thing even remotely blows up as big as it did. But once Dale Jr. says something, if you have a podcast, if you have a radio show, if you have a TV show, you know that whatever Dale Jr. says and the moves that Dale Jr. makes get attention, they get traction. So as soon as Dale Jr. Made this a story, it became a story. And I don't think even he expected it to snowball quite the way it has snowballed now, but it became the biggest story. So I think without people crying on the internet, without Dale Jr. saying what he said, I don't think you see anybody really get this outraged about this. Other than normal Martinsville outrage. Like, we've had Martinsville races in the past that got outraged, but I don't think Sammy Smith gets fined. And I certainly don't think he loses points. I think the losing the points part of it is kind of bullshit, to be totally honest with you. But I don't think any of that happens without the major social media meltdown. And that's what I'm saying about NASCAR. They will consistently be inconsistent. They will literally ebb and flow with people's emotions on Twitter. That's how NASCAR officiates the sport. So if you want NASCAR to start officiating rough driving, be careful what you ask for, because some drivers are going to get penalized and some drivers aren't. And it is definitely going to be influenced by Twitter. That's just my opinion on that, of course. But I really did not understand why this became as big a deal as it has become, because we've seen worse, more egregious actions happen specifically at Martinsville, but not only Martinsville, other races in the past 10 years. But I don't know. Let me get off this topic because I've talked about it long enough. Legacy Motor Club filed a lawsuit. This from The Athletic, by the way. Legacy Motor Club filed, and I'm reading it from J-Ski, filed a lawsuit Tuesday against Rick Ware Racing as the two NASCAR Cup Series teams clash over a charter gone awry. So big news there. Legacy Motor Club buying a charter from Rick Ware Racing. We're going to touch on that in just a minute. But super interesting right there. What is being alleged here from, I guess, Legacy's perspective? Legacy's perspective is that Rick Ware Racing wants to pull out. They sold him the charter, and now all of a sudden Rick Ware Racing doesn't want to sell him the charter. That is Legacy's contention. And why would, in Legacy's opinion, why would Rick Ware Racing want to do that? Well, probably because after the charter agreements got settled and finalized, as far as that goes, maybe Rick Ware Racing thought the value of the charters went up, and now they want to renegotiate the deal. So maybe they got cold feet and they're pulling back out of it. That would probably be the only reason Rick Ware Racing, from Legacy Motor Club's perspective, would pull out. From Rick Ware Racing's perspective, here's what they had to say about it in the same exact blurb from J-Ski from The Athletic. According to multiple sources familiar with the lawsuit but not authorized to speak publicly, the dispute centers around the timing of when the charter would be transferred from Rick Ware Racing to Legacy, which is owned by seven-time Cup Series champion Jimmy Johnson. Rick Ware Racing is said to have been under the impression the agreement would go into effect for 2027, but Legacy changed the year to 2026 without communicating to team owner Rick Ware or other Rick Ware Racing representatives that it had done so. So Rick Ware Racing contending that the agreement is still in place, but we had an agreement for 2027. Legacy Motor Club wants to get that done in 2026, and we were not prepared for that. We were not ready for that. Maybe Rick Ware Racing has some things in place for 2026 that this might screw up their plans. Maybe Legacy has something in place for 2026 and they need the charter and they need it now. If you follow that commercial that comes on from time to time. So I found this very interesting, but even more interesting than that is that Legacy Motor Club wants or needs a charter. And to me, this only screams one thing: Corey Haim to Legacy Motor Club, and this is all speculation, but that is the only thing in my mind that I can even think about, because Corey Haim is the biggest Toyota blue chip prospect that they have in the lower divisions right now, in my opinion, that is ready to come to Cup. So this right here signals to me that Legacy Motor Club is going to be the home of Corey Haim, and that is where he is going to go. 100% speculation, but that is my opinion on that. So Stone Cold Lead Pipe lock it down. Corey Haim will be going to Legacy Motor Club either in 2026 or 2027. However, Rick Ware Racing and Legacy Motor Club sort of get this thing ironed out and figured out. Next story: Prime and Kyle Larson have come to agreement on a sponsorship, and that in itself is not necessarily exciting, except it is for Kyle Larson's double when he will be racing at the Coke 600 and the Indianapolis 500 in that reverse order, of course, because the Indy 500 happens first. Then he'll be flying over to compete in the Coca-Cola 600, weather permitting. Of course, you know what happened last year, but interesting tidbit to this, and this is from, let's see, where is this one from? This is from the Hendrick Motorsports press release. In addition to its sponsorship, Prime Video has greenlit a feature-length documentary chronicling Larson's quest to compete the two marquee races on the same day. Filming for the Untitled project began in 2023 and will encompass the driver's pursuits in both 2024 and 2025, slated to launch next year on Prime. The documentary is directed by Emmy and Peabody Award-winning filmmaker Cynthia Hill. It is produced by Hill's Marquee Media, Imagine Documentaries, and Hendrick Motorsports, and associated with NASCAR Studios and Penske Entertainment. Penske Entertainment in the house, I guess, because they own IndyCar. So not as shocking. So there you go. We're getting a Kyle Larson documentary. It will be on Prime. It will be centered around this event, but they said they started filming it in 2023, October of 2023. So very interesting stuff there. Should be very interesting. Should be a really good documentary with Cynthia Hill and her, since she's won the Emmy and the Peabody and all that. So you would expect it to be high quality, I guess, is what we should say. 4-day NASCAR All-Star event. They announced the schedule for the NASCAR All-Star race, and it is going to be this. On Thursday, you're going to get the Cars Tour Pro Late Models. So Thursday, you will have a race there. Cars Tour Pro Late Models will be racing, formerly known as Supers, the Supers Super Late Model, if you are following along at home. Then Friday is going to be the Pit Crew Challenge. So the Pit Crew Challenge is back, and that Pit Crew Challenge is going to be what sets your field. It's essentially a qualifying. It's going to set your field for the heat races. So that does have consequences. The Pit Crew Challenge, I like that. I think that's really good. You're also going to get Cup Series practice as well on that Friday, and I think the trucks could possibly practice there too. But you do have a practice round there. And then Friday night, you're going to have the Cars Tour, the regular late models, the regular Cars Tour late models will be racing on the Friday night. Saturday night is going to be your Truck Series race, and it will also be your heat races for the Cup Series. And then, of course, on Sunday, you will have the official All-Star race. A jam-packed weekend once again. And also the Wheel and Modifieds are also going to be racing on Sunday as well. 150 lap feature for the All-Star Open as well. So there you go. A whole lot going on for All-Star weekend. So I guess maybe the ticket is worth it this time. I don't know. A lot of people were complaining about the price of the ticket. Jake Owens also, I think, is going to be doing the concert there or something. I can't remember what he's doing. I assume he's doing a concert there. Maybe he's a grand marshal, maybe something else. I don't know. But I did see Jake Owens' name attached to it somehow. So there you go. There's your all-star stats. And one more time, the poll question is, did NASCAR find Sammy Smith because so many people cried on the internet and in podcasts? Yes or no? That is the poll question. Get your vote in now. And now we will jump into the comment section and see what you guys want to talk about. Long one. A lot of stuff to cover here before we got going today. Let's see. Thunder Strikes saying, I'm glad Sammy got the penalty. However, I'm irate that Harrison and Taylor got fines for nothing. Says Thunder Strikes. I don't think it was Harrison. I think Jeb Burton got the fine. I didn't see Harrison go down in there. I think Jeb Burton is the Burton that got the fine there, but I could be wrong there. Welcome to the pit stop with BB. Allegedly says in between the lanes. There you go. Pit stop with BB. It is what it is. Not a terrible name for the live stream. Cup race had some drivers roughing people up Sunday too. Says one wise guy. For sure. For sure. You didn't hear too much about the Cup Series race as far as rough driving, other than a handful like Joey Logano, Ross Chastain. You heard a little bit of that. But not too bad. Tyler on Tyler Crime, Tyler Reddick versus Ty Gibbs. Let's see. Can we get owners to include crash clauses in the contracts that require the drivers to show up at the shop alongside the crew making the repairs? I don't care if they give them coffee and snacks. Says Timber Ace. Maybe that's something that could dissuade it. I don't know. Like some type of community service for the drivers if they have some type of rough driving incident. That would be an interesting way of going about it. Maybe that cleans up the rough driving from that aspect. Pretty funny. I like that one. I might include that one in the clip. Dale Jr. said he wants NASCAR to make rules for Martinsville similar like the Cars Tour. I don't like that idea. If they have these cars more delicate at short tracks, drivers won't hit each other. Says Escobar. And for everybody keeping score at home, if you're involved in the caution, you go to the back of the line. So if you wreck somebody, you don't stay in your position. You go to the back of the line because you're deemed part of the wreck. It would be the late model rule. I think that they're referencing there. Didn't see the Dale Jr. download today. I was busy doing other stuff. Make them cancel the all-day lake and pool parties and show up at the shop, says Timber Ace. John P. saying, hey, BB, I went tornado chasing with my high school baseball coach yesterday. He said I never caught pop flies and made me get out of the car in baseball-sized hail to get some hail. I got KO'd, says John P. So there you go. You finally caught a baseball there to the dome. Hope you're okay. Hope everything's all right your way, my friend. Always appreciated with the creative nonfiction or fiction. We're not sure if it's fiction or nonfiction, so I shouldn't say creative fiction. Creative posts either way. What's up, OJ and Toothpaste? Good to see you on here, my friend. Hope everything's going well in your neck of the woods. NASCAR has rules already. Send them to the rear, enforce the rules, says one wise guy. There you go. I mean, do you want NASCAR? My question to that, though, do you really want NASCAR getting involved in those calls? Because even Denny Hamlin feels like something needs to be done. But he even also said that he wasn't sure if he wants NASCAR making those calls. Nobody wants NASCAR making those calls. So it is what it is. The kids are taught to whine and cry for anything that someone did against them, but it's okay for them to do it, says PC Gone Rogue. That's the history, like for the history of all drivers in the sport, period, no matter how far back you go. It is due unto me how you would have done unto you, and I will do unto you how I feel like doing. And if you do it to me, I will cry about it. That's 90% of your drivers. Only Sammy Smith was dumb enough to get out and admit that he wrecked someone on purpose. Denny Hamlin got fined and penalized for admitting wrecking Ross at Phoenix. There you go. So that is definitely something that NASCAR can say that, hey, we're pointing to this. He admitted that he did it on purpose. So maybe that's why he got the fine. I personally don't. I mean, why he lost the points. He might have got the fine for that. I think he lost the points because people cried about it so vehemently for whatever reason. I don't understand why this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I feel like we've seen it forever now, though. Let's see. I feel like it may just be the straw that broke the camel's back, as you said, BB. After 10 years, people are just tired of it, says Shaw. So there you go. Shaw's on board with the camel's back, the straw that broke the camel's back theory. People are just finally tired of it. Maybe that's what this is all about. But it was, to me, it wasn't any different than any other race I've ever seen recently, as far as that goes. BB, you're right. It's the straw that broke the camel's back. I've been going to local tracks for 50 years, and they police it better than NASCAR, says Bruce Garvey. So there you go. People are finally, maybe that's what it is. That's the part of it I'm missing. People have just finally had enough of it. Is there an over under on BB saying allegedly tonight? Well, you just made me say it by reading it there in between the lanes. So there's the over under is already at one, at least has to be over one, I should say. As it has, just whooped BB's butt. Says Lovey Barkley. If NASCAR deems that a fine is required, then that fine should be a race suspension for the driver, period, says Ron Russell. So, yeah, basically the only thing that's really going to get anybody's attention is either points, because he did lose points here. So points will get your attention, no doubt about it, or missing a race. Essentially, I feel like they took enough points away from him that's basically like missing a race. So same difference. A race's worth of points or physically missing a race, that's going to get your attention. So I do agree with that. That's the only thing that's going to affect change. There's the merch link right there, dropped from One Wise Guy. So check that out if you want t-shirts, hats, stickers, or sweatshirts. Any other stock track in the country would have penalized Sammy Smith and the others for wrecking like that, says OJ and Toothpaste. Says so that's not necessarily. I don't necessarily disagree with that at all. Like I said, the part of it I don't understand was like the overall outrage. But according to y'all, which I'm going to let you guys be the expert on this one, because I don't know. I just watched too much of these. I think, and it's made me numb to it. Maybe this is just the straw that broke the camel's back. So that's where the outrage is coming from. But yeah, local short tracks, they definitely would have penalized them for sure. Lovey saying what's up to Wise Guy. Wise Guy returning the favor. So Clay Campbell came by our campsite to give out free hot dogs, says Delmer Kaufman. There you go. Clay Campbell, of course, the guy that runs Martinsville Speedway over there, does a great job as well out there talking with everybody there that was there to watch the race. And Delmer Kaufman got some free hot dogs out of it. So that's a cool deal. Always a good time at Martinsville. Didn't make it out this year, unfortunately, but it is one of the better tracks to attend a race at. Sometimes the racing is not always what you want to see, but the track itself does their best to put on a good show. I can't speak to the drivers end of it. Great. Another charter lawsuit says like dislike. Hey, there you go. A third charter lawsuit thus far this season, if you're keeping count at home. Dylan didn't get penalized 50 points for last year's Richmond win. Yes, playoff eligibility was removed, but no points were taken away. I mean, we're splitting hairs as far as that goes, Napa fan, but I feel like they took away what he was trying to do. So in that particular case, they did penalize him for what he was trying to achieve. So I feel like in Dylan's case, it does count. You're spot on about Corey Heim and legacy, says Dirty Def. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who else from the Toyota camp they'd be putting there. And it makes sense because if you're Toyota, you gotta move Corey Heim somewhere at some point, or another manufacturer is gonna grab him. One Wise Guy saying Heim time. Cars Tour and FS1 for Wilkesboro. Hey, there you go. FS1 gonna carry the Cars Tour race. I was not aware of that. How about that? Cool deal. I appreciate you there, Napa. Young drivers with a suitcase of win or crash money start holding your team owners accountable, says Brickyard Brickhead. Maybe. So, yeah. Well, I mean, Dale Jr. had the most to say about it, so we'll see if he does anything to Sammy Smith. He owns the car, so we'll see. We'll see what happens as far as that goes. Put some pressure on himself as far as I'm concerned. The Larson doc for Prime for 2025 double should be called the real double. 2024 was the fake double. Never happened since Rain had a vendetta against Larson competing in both races last year, says an Apple Racing fan. So what if they just call it the what if they go in and out and call it the double double? Because it'll be his second attempt at the double, so it's a double double. I don't know. That was corny. Let's see. Although I don't agree with the Sammy Smith penalty, what does 50 points really matter with a win in your end system? Says like dislike. Man, there you go. As far as that goes, same thing. He's going to get a waiver, but he would lose all the points. But either way, if he wins, he's still in. So with this format, what does anything matter as long as you can get yourself a win, right? Cassandra saying, hey, y'all from North Idaho. She's on the work phone here tonight. What's up, Cassandra? What's up, North Idaho? How do you feel about the timing of a commissioner? Last one was 2007. I don't know. Are you ready to put the tinfoil hat on? I don't know about the timing of them naming a commissioner, but the timing of them doing it on a Monday after Denny Hamlin won a race, that didn't feel like that was organic at all. That felt like Denny Hamlin won a race. We're going to put a story out here so people don't talk about Denny Hamlin as much. That was just my initial reaction to it. When Monday I saw that they were announcing NASCAR had a commissioner the Monday after Denny Hamlin wins a race. I feel like they were sitting on that, and they'll probably sit on some other stories in case Denny Hamlin wins again as well. I felt like that was very much scripted to be like that. So that was my only real thoughts on the commissioner deal. Aside from that, it's just really going to be the same old because Jim France is just he's still running it from behind the scenes, but that's my opinion. Welcome to the test session with team manager BB and Rocket Lanes. Says in between the lanes, High Lane says Lovey, NASCAR getting a commissioner. We don't want to be like sticking ball sports while we're being like sticking ball sports, says Napa race fan. Yeah, and some people have the opinion that it's because of the lawsuit that they're naming a commissioner. I don't know how all that plays out. I'm not a legal genius as far as how that would be any type of legal wrangling or maneuvering, but I've heard some people talk about that. NASCAR still uses rotary phones to make calls, says Shah. I think a better penalty would be the next race. You go to the rear or 2 laps down, not eligible for the free pass or wave around. Explain to your sponsor why you have no chance next week, says like dislike. There you go. I mean, that's essentially just taking a race away from them. So you could do that, or you could just sit them for a race. Logano on Sirius XM this morning was apparently he's still mad at Ross for Coda. He said Ross races too hard, and Pete the Stone stepped in and said, "Well, Joey, fans have said you race too hard." Says Dirty Death. There, Pete the Stone, never afraid to stir the proverbial shit pot, for sure. Escobar, forget docking points. Let a driver miss out on a race. They will learn their lesson. That's kind of where I stand on it. If you don't suspend them, or at least take away a full race's worth of points, but like you guys have basically said, it doesn't matter. But even the suspension doesn't matter either if they win a race, really. But yeah, missing a race is the only thing that's really gonna like stick in their head that that was bad. I can't do that no more. Let's see. Quattro saying all that merch behind you, and I don't see nothing for the one car. Shaking my head. That is false. I've got it's not for the one car, but there's a 77. Yep. There's a 77 hat, Quattro, and that is Ross. There's also a 77 car back there when Ross drove for Dirty Mo Media, which I'm not going to get up and get, but I'll show it to you next. I'll move it around so you can see it next time. There is Ross. There's a Ross diecast, and there is a Ross hat back there. I've got Ross t-shirts too, and I do have a Ross hat, but the Ross hat is in the other studio. So nice try, Quattro. It's there. Just because you didn't see it. Google the 77 car that he drove for the Dirty Mo gang for Spire as well, Quattro. That's the car that's back there. Good looking car. Really good looking car. Legacy Motor Club suing Rick Ware Racing over the charter sale, says an Apple Racing fan. Yeah, interesting move. I think they need it because they have something lined up for Corey Heim or whatever driver that they're going to put in there. Would be my guess. Todd Gordon said that he's watched every race in car view and showed the Ross Briscoe Joey incident. And he said, "I'm sorry, but I didn't see what Ross did wrong because Briscoe got there too hot and jumped the curb," says Dirty Death. Yeah. To me, it was just a racing incident, but if you're sitting in that car and you feel a certain way, good luck changing a driver's mind, period. So that's Joey's probably going to take that one until he gets some retribution, as far as what I'm thinking here. When I first saw the JJ lawsuit, my first thought was he wants to come back full time, says Lovey Barkley. It's not for Jimmy Johnson. It's in my opinion, and it's just a guess. I think it's for Corey Heim. Legacy switching the deal by a year is pretty screwed up, in my opinion, says Shah. Well, we don't know if Legacy switched it or if Rick Ware switched it. We don't know who's at fault here. We're just talking about which side is claiming which side did what. Just BS. I'm with Rick Ware Racing, says Shah. So Shah taking the side of Rick Ware Racing there. Hey, BB, Cassandra from Idaho. Pay the band. Gonna dance, says David McSwain. What's up, David McSwain? Always good to have you on here, my friends. Let's see. Junior announced on the download FS1 coverage for the ZMAX Cars Tour. If ratings are good, it could increase to more races on the regular, says Jason Ratcliffe. He also basically said he could not suspend Smith as the car owner. Hoped NASCAR would handle properly, which he insinuated would be a suspension, in my opinion, says Jason Ratcliffe. And that is pretty much the most Dale Jr. thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. As the car owner, you can 100% sit a driver down, but he wants NASCAR to do it for him. So that's interesting, in my opinion. He does not like to be the bad guy, in my opinion. Let's see. Allegedly, SS is Sammy Smith is not so much thinking right. Helmets block the rational thoughts. That's right. When you put the helmet on, you don't you can't release the pressure, as they say. You see the red mist, whatever you want to call it. There's no way JRM would suspend Smith. The playoffs bring in more money for the team, says Napa. Yeah. And here's the other thing. If it was any other team owner, if it was any other team owner and not Dale Jr., imagine any other team owner coming out and saying NASCAR needs to suspend my driver. I hated what they did at the racetrack. How insane! Like, what world are we living in 2025, man? Like, owners coming out and saying, please suspend my driver, NASCAR, because I can't do it. It's I don't know. Crazy, crazy. They're not going to suspend a driver because of that waiver rule they made, says like dislike. Probably has a lot to do with it. That's a good point. Hilarious that they said they're mad at Polk for wanting the sport to be like the NBA, then announced they want to be more like the NBA, and literally said the NBA in the announcement, says Lovey Barkley. Any of those three shouldn't cry about anything else over aggressive driving. They wrote the book, says Jason Ratcliffe. My only issue with the Smith penalty is why didn't Hill get penalized for bullying his way through the pack at Martinsville, and Mayer spinning out three different guys in retaliation, says Napa Racing fan. Yeah, I mean, you know what? That was my exact point. Like, Sammy Smith gets penalized because a lot of people cried about it on their podcast. Austin Hill had some rough driving. He even apologized about it after the race. He didn't get a penalty. So why is Sammy Smith's moves in that race different than Austin Hill's? Because more people on Twitter and podcasts talked about it. It is what it is. Exactly 100 like dislike. Exactly, he insinuated on the download, in my opinion, says Ratcliffe. Joey pretty much insinuated that payback is coming, so could be very interesting, says Dirty Death. Yeah, that will be interesting because I don't know. I don't know if Ross is the one. A lot of people have taken it from Joey. I don't know if Ross is going to be the one that takes it from Joey. That could get really ugly between those two. Is my thinking there. Ross could win Sunday, says one wise guy. Corey Heim would make sense, but he just signed with 2311 like last week, just as a backup driver though. So I doubt that is like anything he would be super committed to long term. KFB to Legacy Motor Club in the 84, his first cup number, and Toyota gets Kyle back. Says like dislike. There you go. Maybe that's where Kyle Busch goes. Is that an improvement from RCR? I don't know. That would be a question for you guys. Let's see. He can't as the car owner because it would eliminate Sammy from the playoffs without a waiver, alienating sponsors. Therefore, NASCAR is placed to suspend him, is insinuated, in my opinion, says Jason Ratcliffe. Well, yeah, but he's the one that has the big problem with it. So if he wants him suspended, he should do it. Like, if he is so upset over what Sammy Smith did, then suspend him yourself, whether he misses the playoffs or not. Like, if you're going to make that big a deal about it, you're the one making the big deal about it, So follow through with it. If you want him suspended, suspend him yourself. So it is what it is. Let's see. Napa Racing fans saying insane. Who was driving the 53 car in the Xfinity race on Saturday? Also, who was at risk of missing the Xfinity race on Saturday because 40 cars on the entry list? And my other thing with it is like, dude, if you're Sammy Smith, do you even want to be there next year? Like, after you get called out like that? I wouldn't. I'd be like, F this place. I'll go somewhere else. I'll take my money somewhere else. So I don't know. Like, to me, it's something that could have been handled behind closed doors. We don't need to come out and talk about this if you're the team owner talking about your driver. Like, I like Dale Jr. Like, don't get me wrong. I like everything he's done for the sport. I'm just I'm not on his side with this one. I think he should have handled all this behind closed doors. Like, if you're the team owner and you have a problem with that driver, talk about that driver at the Monday morning meeting. You don't need to be doing all this like out in public. So that's just my thoughts on it. Let's see, right or wrong, that's the stance any owner would make in the current climate, says Jason Ratcliffe. Yeah, I'm not saying necessarily you're wrong, but you don't need to come out publicly and say it if that's your driver. So it is what it is. Joey is a total hypocrite. He's done the exact same things Ross has done on track. Now he's complaining about it because he's being raced that way. Yep, that's pretty much every driver that's ever driven though. They have rules for thee, but not for me. I'm sure you'll see on Discord. Sorry, I'm venting, but someone hit my truck while I was while I was grocery shopping. Left no note. F people, dude says OJ and toothpaste. That's terrible, man. I hate that. Been a rough run, dude. Hopefully it'll all turn around for you. I hope. Logano can take his sliced bread and shove it where the sun doesn't shine, says Shaw. When did Dale Jr. say NASCAR should suspend Smith? Dale Jr. said he wouldn't. He shouldn't be the cause. Most of the field was doing the exact same thing. Says Dirty Def. I don't know. I'm just going off of what they said. Like I said, I haven't seen the download. That's what they were saying. He was insinuating, but it is what it is. What up, BB? Let Kelly deal with Smith. Says T-Van. Toyota, let's go places. Says in between the lanes. Still not a fan of calling out your own driver though, like in public. Just do it. Do it behind closed doors. Let's see. Does anyone know if there was a warning before NASCAR suddenly cut the amount of charters you could have to 3? I don't know. Like I don't know if we have any recollection or any. You would have to be sitting in on those meetings, I guess. Shah says Logano can dish it out, but heaven forbid it happens to him. And I don't think it was Ross's fault, says Shah. Nothing yet with the progressive Toyota Camry XSE of Denny Hamlin diecast, says in between the lanes. I'm sure they'll make it. Come on, BB. You know money talks. BS walks. Can't alienate sponsors. I agree with you, but also understand the reality, says Jason Ratcliffe. Yeah, I just handle it behind the scenes, man. You know what I mean? Like, you ain't gotta. You don't have to talk about your driver like that in public. It's supposed to be a team. You work together. Actually, you can pre-order the race version of the Martinsville Cup race car. So there you go. How bad was Algar kicking himself for following Sammy that deep into the corner, says Timber Race. I don't know. I don't know. Like you're pot committed. You're trying to get all you can get there on a restart. So I don't know. I don't know if he would do anything different. Junior said he's sitting on Smith's box this week. Says one wise guy agreed. Just disappointed in Sammy. We're handling it in-house, says Jason Ratcliffe. That would have been my move, but to each his own. He's way more successful than me, so what do I know? That should be fun, says Lovey Barkley. I don't hear Ross really crying or complaining too much when it happens to him. Ross is pretty quiet. He doesn't say a whole lot, so I think I like the way he handles it for sure. Should have been the statement, says Jason Ratcliffe. Junior won't suspend Smith himself. Too much money rewarded to make the playoffs to suspend drivers on his own sponsorship prize money for the team at the end of the season, etc. I can't wait for that Denny ad with Flo and Jamie from Progressive, says Napa Racing fan. Yeah, you know that's coming. So that's almost a guarantee that you're going to see that. I think Joey, being a 3-time champion, probably thinks he deserves more respect on the track. But that with the field that tight, everybody is going all out. I just think it's typical short track. People were mad. I think they'll get past it. Like somebody was saying, it goes back for Joey. He remembers all this stuff. It goes back to Coda for him. So he's like, all right, that's strike 2, strike 3. However, he's keeping score over there. Who has Rick Ware Racing's second charter right now? Says like this, like dislike. Right now, it's Rick Ware Racing. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it when that lawsuit is all settled. Lawsuit number 3 over charters this season. If a driver uses the competitor's car to make the corner, is it really racing, says Timber Race? That's a great question. I don't know. Like sometimes, like it just depends on the situation. So even as fans, like sometimes you're like, oh, that was one of the greatest moves of all time because your driver did it. And then sometimes as fans, oh, that's dirty. That's no good racing. Like it's all situational. If a driver uses the competitor's car to make the corner, I just read that one. Ross literally threw a super speedway level block on a short track. It was kind of last second, and Logano last second incident was about 3 years ago, says Lovey Barkley. Will Denny Hamlin meet with Dr. Rick while using Progressive? That's a good question. We'll have to see how many people they bring out for the Denny Hamlin commercial when Progressive makes that. Did you hear Cliff Daniels on Radioactive this week about Ross and Kyle? He said non-winning drivers try to wreck winning drivers. says Dirty Def. I didn't hear that, so that'll be interesting. So Radioactive. for better or worse, makes the sport more interesting. Is Gase driving in the Xfinity Series races, John Bender? I don't know. I haven't looked at the entry lists just yet. Even Michael Waltrip said, didn't he on the grid walk not be like his parents? Says Napa Racing fan. I think Heim making a reference to the Progressive commercials there. I think Heim to a third 2311 car and Herbst to a third Legacy Motor Club car, says Thunderstrike. So there you go. Maybe they move it around that way. Sorry, I was late. What is the 4-day All-Star, says Jamie Schweitzer. So basically, they're going to do the pro late models on Thursday. Then on Friday, you're going to get the pit crew challenge, which sets the heat races for the cup race. And you're also going to get practice. Then you got the Cars Tour race on Friday night as well. Saturday going to be the truck and the heat races for Cup, and then the All-Star will be on Sundays. There you go. There's your All-Star lineup. I'm thinking, Kyle is the best in the world, no doubt, but he only won 6 races, and the same team he's driving for now. Teams make a huge difference, without question. Like Hendrick Motorsports equipment, way better than Ganassi Racing equipment was. We found that out via the same driver sitting in both, right? Xfinity should be at Wilkesboro also, says Napa Racing fan. So Napa wants the Xfinity Series there as well. Jamie Schweitzer saying, thanks, no problem, Jamie. Always glad to help. All right. Poll question, as it stands right now, 69% say, did NASCAR find Sammy Smith because so many people cried on the internet and in podcasts? 69% saying yes, 31% saying no, and look like we've reached the end of this one. So that's going to be it for this one. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Till then, peace.